All right, I want you to imagine being trapped inside an insulated hot box for hours in the sweltering Texas heat, with no windows, no air, no water, no relief, growing desperate as each hour seems to collapse your lungs more and more until your consciousness fades and you take your final desperate gasp for air. That unimaginable agony is how 53 people met their death this week in San Antonio. Why? Because they were fleeing suffering in their home countries and sought just a bit of humanity on their journey to America. They found only suffering instead, and sadly, their story is not unique. Since 2014, nearly 6,000 people have died while migrating across Central and North America and the Caribbean, and that's according to the UN. Joining me now is the managing attorney of the Removal Defense Unit at Diocesan Migrant and Refugee Services in El Paso, Marisol Castro. Thank you so much for being here. You know, so often we focus on policy, which of course is important, but I really think it's important for our viewers to focus on the humanity here. And I'm hoping, based on your work experience and the conversations you've had at the border and beyond, to explain to our viewers what this journey is like for people so desperate that they risk this type of death for a better life.
Yes. Hi, good morning, Tiffany. Thanks for having me. Yes, unfortunately, I'm here in El Paso, Texas, and I'm bordered with Juarez, which is one of the most dangerous cities in the world. And so, unfortunately, some of my clients who come from countries like Cameroon, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Cuba, they're coming to basically live another day. They're coming where their government has either tortured them, threatened them with death, and basically they have one or two choices. Either they stay and possibly die, or they leave their country. And they leave their country in hope of being able to come to the United States to seek asylum, something that our country has allowed and has welcomed all these people with dignity until the Trump administration unfortunately implemented Title 42 and MPP, the Remain in Mexico program. These programs have made it impossible nearly for these people to be able to come into the country. And so their desperation leads to exactly what happened in San Antonio.
Which is so tragic. I mean, you hear 53 people died in such a way that's so tragic and so much suffering. It's hard to imagine. I saw all the empathy people had for Ukrainians coming to this country. And I thought about the people who were fleeing the same thing, traveling to America for a better life. I saw all the people protesting a woman's right to choose and their, claim to care so much about children. But then I think about the people, the children traveling to this country from Central America, and I wonder where that empathy and compassion goes for these young kids. So explain to us what impact the Supreme Court reversing the Remain in Mexico policy will have on the children who are coming here for a better life.
Well, the children actually was one of the exemptions that they were allowing the children to come in, especially when they were coming by themselves. So that actually would remain the same way. The Supreme Court decision that recently came out, what that's going to allow is the president to be able to have the power to eliminate MPP. And so that's going to be very helpful for all of my clients that are currently in the MPP program. So those are my clients who are seeking asylum, who are coming from countries where their life is in danger, but then they're put in worse danger and in the desperate situation of being in shelters that are overcrowded, where people are dying in these shelters and no one even notices a body has been dead for 3 days. So they're going to be able to hopefully, as soon as the Biden administration will expedite this decision, they'll be able to actually enter the country and finish their asylum claim here in the United States. Unfortunately, because of Title 42, which we're hoping that it will end up being resolved the same way the MPP program was able to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would give the president the right to get rid of Title 42. That will then open up the borders again and allow people to come in properly and with dignity instead of having to find a way to come in. I mean, some of my clients have jumped over the border wall, which is 30 feet tall, because they can't come in. And so we hope that the Biden administration will be able to start implementing what they promised they would do. And therefore, people will be able to come in without having to risk their life to come in.
Just to explain to our viewers, I see folks asking, how did the migrants get left there? The suspected driver of the truck, who was driving the truck, was allegedly under the influence of meth. when police encountered him after he'd left the people. I don't even know what justice or accountability looks like here. But what does it look like to you?
Well, I think he'll definitely be facing a life sentence without parole and possibly even the death penalty. I think more importantly, what they have to find out is who he was working for. It goes way beyond him. He was just possibly a driver involved in a very bigger circle of people involved in this who are just taking advantage of the situation and knowing how desperate people are. And it's unfortunate because they're looking at this as money instead of as a human life.
Yeah, well, we will certainly keep our eye on this. Like I said, these stories are sadly far too common.